This video will be brief. However, having the right key bindings is very important in GunZ. Unlike most other games, where key bindings can be highly individualized, there's a relatively optimized setup. In fact, more advanced K-style movements are impossible to do without particular key bindings, as the inputs needed to be pressed are too numerous, and the speed that requires cannot be done with the default key bindings. While you can learn K-style with the default bindings, and then learn the optimized setup, it's easier just to get used to them now instead of switching once you got the muscle memories of the default setup. Why are the default key bindings bad? Notice where all the keybinds are distributed across the left and right hand. Almost all the keys you will be pressing is on your left hand. Sword, gun 1, gun 2, reload, block, and even items. Your right hand, however, only has two jobs: slash and shoot, and flip. Since flipping is not used too often, it really only has one job: shooting and slashing. Along with the standard WASD and double tapping for dash for movement, the left hand is overworked by having to input the most frequently used actions. Shift for block is also being used by your pinky, which is typically the least dexterous digit on your hand. Since GunZ requires high volume of precise inputs, the purpose of the optimal keybinds is to maximize the ease of key presses and to distribute the work evenly to both hands. We can do this by actually moving a lot of the binds to our mouse. Slash will be left mouse button. Block will be our right mouse button. Flip will be shift. Sword will be on 1 and mouse wheel down. Weapon 1 will be on E and mouse wheel up. Weapon 2 will be Q. Reload will be mouse button 4 and middle mouse button. Medkit 1 and 2 or grenades will be 4 and 2. Moving will be our standard WASD. On the right hand, our index finger will cover the left mouse button. Our middle finger will be on the middle mouse button for mouse wheel up and down and middle mouse button. Our ring finger will be on right mouse button and thumb will be on mouse button 4. The keybind configuration does several important things. Groups gun 1 and 2 in close vicinity to your standard WASD keys, so you no longer need to stretch your fingers to 2 and 3. It places reload to M4, allowing your mouse hand to press reload with the thumb, reducing the need to stretch to R. It also consolidates reload and sword to middle mouse button and scroll down. By clicking the mouse wheel and scrolling down at the same time, you can reload and switch to sword. This makes late dashing significantly easier. It places gun 1 to scroll up on the mouse. This compensates for not being able to comfortably use another finger to get to gun 1 that's binded to Q. Unlike gun 2 that can be reached comfortably with your left index finger or left middle finger. You can now dash break with ease too. It places your block to right mouse button. This may not seem like a big deal, but blocking with right click is more consistent for any movement involving blocking. This is because the close physical proximity of the left and right mouse buttons for slash and block will effectively feel as one motion of clicking, rather than two individual steps binded to left click and shift. The butterfly, double butterfly, block rushes all become instantly more consistent. Sure, it sacrifices flip, but since that's not used nearly as frequently as block, it's more than a fair trade-off. It should be noted that even though this is a setup I and many others use, there are other configurations with the same ergonomic philosophy. You may want to find your own personal keybind configuration. I know that some of you don't have a mouse with an M4 or M5 button. If not, I highly recommend that you get a cheap gaming mouse just for that ability to bind reload. Now with an optimized keybinding configuration, you can practice your movements. It may seem awkward at first, especially those who are familiar with the typical shooter type games. Don't worry, it'll only take a couple of hours to get used to them, and you'll be glad that you don't have to learn another configuration in the future.